The two arrive at the Progia Gorge, following the straw trails left behind by the missing team. The trail leads them to the entrance of a cave with a face carved into the rock, Lapelin's dungeon. Lloyd remembers this place perfectly from the novel. It is the lair of the dark wizard Lapelin, a challenge Javier faces at the beginning of the story. Furious that someone has dared to touch his property, the soldiers, Lloyd seethes with rage, believing that even the death penalty would not be enough. Javier, protective, steps forward to enter first, but steps directly on a hidden magic circle. Lloyd, anticipating the trap, pulls him back at the last second, just before a fiery explosion erupts. As Javier stares in shock at the magical trap, Lloyd scolds him, asking how a knight could not have thought of the possibility of traps. In reality, Lloyd knows that in the original story, a younger and more reckless Javier fell into the first trap and entered the dungeon already injured. But this time, Lloyd is here to guide him. He reminds Javier of his sense of mana. He explains that while mana is usually evenly concentrated around a magical trap, it will gather in an unnaturally dense spot. Using this heightened sense, Javier can now see traps. With Lloyd pointing the general direction and Javier detecting the traps, the two navigate the deadly maze, much to the knight's continued amazement. In the heart of the dungeon, Lapelin, a red-eyed sorcerer, senses that one of his traps has been activated. He assumes the intruders are dead and returns to his experiment. In an adjacent room, he opens an iron door, revealing the kidnapped workers. Lapelin drags one of the men onto a bloody pentagram, preparing for a sacrificial ritual with a massive, blood-soaked scythe. Just then, a voice shouts, "Hey, you!" Lapelin turns around and is shocked to see Lloyd and Javier at the entrance to the laboratory. "Don't touch my stuff. I'll kill you, understand?" Lloyd shouts, defending his property. Furious that the intruders managed to get past the hundreds of traps, Lapelin releases a powerful sleeping gas, strong enough to put an elephant to sleep. But Lloyd, with a smile, holds his breath. He activates the Energizer ability, which, in addition to eliminating fatigue, allows him to hold his breath for 10 minutes. Javier, on the other hand, is immune to any kind of sleeping drug due to his chronic insomnia. Because Lapelin has locked Lloyd and Javier out, Lloyd has an idea. He starts digging under the massive iron gate with his digging skills. Javier, with an unsurprised face, thinks that Lloyd is like a mole and that he should nag him later. After he is done digging, Lloyd signals Javier to enter the hole he dug under the iron gate and use Mana Blast to create an exit. Javier complies, and with great skill, opens a path to Lapelin's hideout with a large explosion. With the newly opened path, Lloyd casually walks out of the hole and with a scary face says to Lapelin, "Hi there. I bet you haven't seen an entrance like this." Seeing that his plan is failing, Lapelin resorts to his last line of defense. He activates a summoning spell and summons a gigantic, two-headed ghoul, a byproduct of his failed reincarnation experiments. The wizard boasts that the creature's skin is impenetrable. Lloyd warns Javier that the monster will be a difficult opponent, but he already knows its weak point. "The legs, right?" Javier replies, already leaping into the air, ready to attack. Javier unleashes a Mana Blast Slash, an improved version of his technique, slicing the ghoul in two vertically with a single devastating blow. Lapelin watches in horror as his invincible creation is destroyed so easily. Lloyd, however, is also shocked. He knows that Javier used Mana Blast to destroy the wall of Namarin, but to use it to cut down an enemy. That wasn't even in the book. The chapter ends with Javier standing victorious over the ghoul's remains, demonstrating a strength and versatility far beyond what Lloyd knew from the original story, leaving our engineer hero to wonder what other surprises his ever-changing future holds.